No, I got
You
it.
don't need to say any out of context stuff.
You got this.
Anyway, listen, I'm not saying me and the Pope were in the same room yesterday, but welcome on back for love of
We are speechless. We are genuinely speechless.
I hate that I actually started it.
Yeah, you got it, Dex. There you go. You're welcome.
Yeah, that was definitely one of the intros of all time.
Let's go. You know what? Sorry, what episode number are we on?
14.
Again, is it 14? Okay, that is a top 14 intro right there, like low key.
And guess what? Next week it'll be top 15.
No, y'all are hating. Trust me, I took there.
Then the week after that, it won't be top 15.
All right, it'll be top 1, voted by the people.
Right. Okay.
Anyway.
Dex, you gonna put the wheel on this cart, or are you just gonna let it
moment. I'm just writing down what I'm gonna call this section of the podcast. All right, yeah. Welcome back, everyone, to For the Love of Prod. Like we already said, is episode 14. We didn't forget the number this time. Hunter, you actually did.
I'm sorry. I thought it was 15. That's my bad.
I've never known what number it is.
Fair enough. But as always, I'm joined by Huntertain, Megalass, and we are pleased to be joined this week by Solomon. Solomon, you are actually probably the first person in our first guest in the history of this show that we had a week in advance.
Hi. Yeah, we planned it.
Yeah. You're like, you are someone who is very, very busy. So like the moment you said like, hey, if you go a week out, I can be on, like, okay, yes, please. I would instantly take that. So yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Glad to have made it.
Yeah. But I mean, so we'll just kind of jump straight into what we normally start off with our guests. And I think you've at least listened to the podcast before, at least once or twice, I'm hoping.
I've done my research.
Oh, sweet.
Do we have another KnockOnWood on our hands? Done the research, coming with the essays?
No, I haven't brought in like screenshots, or I haven't got a screen share prepared. No, just do it from my brain,
Yeah, Knock shared those with me before the episode, and he posted them before the episode even started. So it was really funny that like he had show and tell for the podcast.
What a nerd.
I mean, yeah, he is definitely one of those.
He a fan.
Yep.
All right, but to get back on topic here, Solomon, we normally ask our guests every week what got them in and what keeps them coming back. But what got you into doing esports production and stuff, or what just got you into esports in general?
Well, it started with Rast not being able to stream properly, not being a competent Twitch streamer, and we thought we could do a better job, and then we did, and then we've been doing it ever since. Basically, I've watched a bunch of esports for forever. I watched League, as like I'm sure many of the guests you've had have been pretty pivotal. Yeah, we just decided to do it one day, and then we have kept doing it, and now I get paid to do it, so that's pretty cool.
I mean, like, and we've touched on this, or at least I know I've touched on this in the past when we've had on some other producers and some other people, mostly Hippie, like, and I think there's one other person I talked about. You were always talked about in such a high regard when people were working outside of BPL and outside of other stuff, saying like you were probably by far one of the best producers or just best people in like the Overwatch scene when it came to putting on and making a really, really good production. And it's insane now to think like, you're here and that we all work with you. I would hope we all work with you a pretty frequent amount here. But like, like the easiest way I could put it is like you are by far like one of the most down to earth people when it comes to working these productions. I mean, it's something that we've touched on with a lot of other people. It's like just the people that we do these esports productions with are just some of the best people in the world, and you are definitely probably one of those people, at least in my eyes, like one of those best people.
Oh, that's very nice to hear. Yeah, yeah. No, there's a lot of people, very nice people in esports. A lot of good friends. Yeah, I think I don't know what it is. I think you just you stick with the good people, and then you kind of I guess let the worst people just drift away. But when you got good people and you put together a good show, then it just motivates you to come back. I think especially a lot at the amateur level,
Mhm.
like especially in BPL, the amount of people that have kind of come together to make something really great. Like we surely would not have had as many long time staff and dedicated people coming week after week after week for 4, 5, 6, 7 hour shows. You know, if it wasn't a great atmosphere and we were making a good product, it kind of all goes together. Yeah.
And like I've always heard so many people say like they got their start in BPL. And I've always joked like that I was the one person who constantly got rejected from BPL.
Listen, we're bad at responding
No.
to forums, okay?
Like it's just very
we
funny.
have an application form and it's supposed to go to a Discord channel, but that broke maybe a year ago and I haven't fixed it yet. And I'll get to it maybe. It's just,
a lot of other stuff
it's
going
low.
on.
It's just low prio. And it's like, I could fix this or I could make a broadcast look kind of cooler
Mhm.
and spend, 3 hours automating a 1 minute task. And I would rather do that, really. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had a lot of people. I mean, to be fair, it's fun. It is funny people saying they started at BPL because we definitely were not the start of anything really.
Mhm.
We were very much following in other leagues' footsteps, and have just kind of grown to this bit where people have started from us. I mean, we're going what 4 years now, 5 years almost. I don't know. I mean,
5 years because it was during season 3. BP was putting the link in Avast Twitch chat.
Yeah, BPL season 1, August 2020. Jeez.
Time flies.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, like you say it's like BPL, and I look at BPL and CGL as probably like the two main grassroots or like community leagues. And granted, there are several others out there, not only in the NA but in EU, in South America. We got, don't want to say, is it Senju?
Yeah, tend to.
Yeah, who I mean CGL is doing stuff with, and I mean I have to imagine there's these community leagues in Korea and now back in China that are probably huge that we just don't know of yet. But like it's BPL and CGL, I look at it as like the two mainstays for this part of the world. And sorry,
It's me. I'm in yours.
um,
Let me in.
I'm worried it's my cat knocking something over. Okay,
It's me knocking something over.
I mean, hey, if you could come out of the walls, so it would be a little bit easier to do this podcast.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm a bit muffled. I brought a mic and everything with me. Yeah.
Oh, you're fine. But like the people, like I don't think it necessarily matters where people get their starts, but I always look at it as like BPL probably being the best place to get it, considering how many people there, and we've touched on this in the past, like are generally willing to sit down and actually help new people understand how everything kind of works and everything should work. And like you said, you kind of cultivated and you want to work with the good people and kind of let the other ones kind of fade away. BPL just seems to be like this hotbed of like, oh yeah, a lot of people here are the good people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, yeah, no, we got great people. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say. We're some of the best staff, and we have some of them that are working professionally now, and some of them that I work on paid shows with them now. And I mean, yeah, it is weird. Like, I mean, we're not defining it. Well, I don't know. I guess we are defining, but I think we're just surviving. Us and CGL. There's a lot of others that were here and have folded. I think I have no desire to get rid of BPL really. I think part of it is that, I guess it's kind of going on a tangent of like, I have no reason to see BPL going anywhere because it's my job at the moment. You know, like I think having what is essentially a side business of esports production alongside the community means that like, well, I wouldn't give it up. They're like kind of so intertwined that like I have no reason to, you know, like I can imagine all the other leagues where you'll have an admin who gets a real job or you know, they like just have other life commitments that make running a league, especially this like in depth and with this amount of effort into it, it's just impossible for some people, and that's fine. And that's why some of these other leagues grow, you know, drop, or like Get Good is a really big example where you know a bunch of staff changes and it was given to another org and it's just not really doing very well. That's like one of your options. You're like, it's alive, but like not really. Like it's not really anything, and it's all like AI images, and it's just a shame to see for what it was. But BPL staying. I mean, we're in preparation for season 7, which is a crazy number to say. Season 7's coming up, which is actually coming up really soon, like a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I'm not ready for that.
I think you're all right. It's a couple of weeks out. I don't necessarily remember the exact date, so let me see if I can figure it out.
Finals just went live. I can tell you that.
I should know really, but it's it's a couple of weeks.
Yeah, but I mean, and sadly, I can attest to what happened with Get Good on the revival. I think Hunter can too.
I can indeed, yeah.
And it sucks to see those leagues go. Like I remember Flux Cup, League Zero, and all those leagues tried to do comebacks. Just no one was really interested in them. Trank, I mean, is the most recent one that died, but I mean, SPCS is here now, kind of still ran by the same people, but it's not the same as Trank was. But I mean, and I've talked with other people in the past about this. It seems like Trank was very divisive for some people. I just never understood why.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think a lot of their rule books and rulings were pretty different from everything else, and their formats are pretty unique. So it was very much on its own in a lot of ways. You know, like the no teabagging rule, which is the classic. Yeah, I don't know. It's for. I mean, SPCS is doing really well. They've been a good continuation of that, and they've got a lot of teams, which I was kind of surprised at. We help with production on that as well, but that's been pretty good to see that keep going.
Yeah, and we'll probably touch back on SPCS and some of the other leagues that you've helped out here in a little bit. But
my fingers are in many pies.
Yeah, but I mean, let's get to the second part of the question, and you've answered it already a little bit here. But what kind of keeps you always coming back to doing this? Because like you already said, it is your job. But like, what's the main driving factor to that keeps you coming back to doing this kind of stuff?
Man, it's a good question. And honestly, I have 2 answers because things changed recently that make it really different. For BPL, it's always been the community, and it's always been trying to make something really cool, kind of with limited resources. Just, you know, let's just make a show that's way better than we should really physically be able to make. And just kind of celebrate the players and the teams and bring this sort of Overwatch League style event and broadcast to what is very much not Overwatch League style play. More recently, I've been working on Fight Night stuff, and I get to work with some of the tier 1 talent in the world, and some of the tier 1 players in the world, and that has driven it even better. I get to go live on a Thursday with Puckett in my ear, with Uber and Jake casting together in Marvel Rivals, which is kind of like Overwatch, but not really. It's just Overwatch with a lot of ults. And I get to do that every single week, and I get paid for it. And I get to, you know, observe and produce with all my PPL stuff. I mean, like, what is there not to love about that? It's crazy. You know, you not only great at what they do, but just really good, wholesome people, which is kind of what we were saying before about BPL as well, is just surrounding yourself with great people to make a really great product a stream that you guys can be proud of that also captures history a little bit. You can go back 5 years and watch the VODs. Like it's just a lot of fun. I mean, it's great fun, and now that I'm able to, it is essentially my job. I mean, my job title's never changed. I've never, been hired per se because I just work for myself. But now it's like basically a full-ish time job. I just do this all the time. It's wonderful.
Yeah. I mean, we've had a couple other people on in the past who, this is their full-time job. Hippie is one of them. We've had on Will English. We've had on Hot Sauce, where doing stuff in esports is their full-time gig, is their full-time profession. And I mean, like, we've all talked about it after some shows, and like those people have always been really, really fun to have on because they have so many great stories they can tell about so many different things. And you bring up Fight Night, which is something that we're going to probably touch on here in a little bit. And like you said, going back 5 years from now, you will be able to go back and watch the rival stuff, especially at the earliest that it's at right now. Like that, you're going to see a huge shift in that game, which is going to be really, really fun. I hope it makes it 5 years. I think it will. It should.
I think it will. Yeah, I think so.
It really should. But like, you were making probably the first like true good-looking production for Rivals and Deadlock as well. Within the first month the first month or two of the game being out, which outside of maybe like the actual studio itself doing something like that, you don't really see that often that soon. So like the stuff you've been doing with Fight Night, like I said, we'll probably touch on later, is just incredible to see.
Yep. Yeah. We had a bit of a time crunch. But as with a lot of things in new esports, it's get there first and do it the best. Which is why we're there early and why we're doing it the best.
Yeah. Actually, let's just go straight into Fight Night stuff right now. And especially because we've had a couple people who have been on in the past who've talked about doing Fight Night stuff, and just we work with them outside of the we work with them in normal productions, and they talk about doing Deadlock Fight Night. What was it like kind of getting around that first hurdle with Deadlock where you could only have, I believe it's 2 observers, but there was some like workaround to get more in?
Nope, just been 2 observers the whole time. Still is.
There was some kind of like, I think Orange had talked about it. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I know what Dex was talking about. There was some sort of limitation on how the observing worked or something in that game that was funky.
Deadlock is very alpha in a lot of ways. It's getting better, and every update is getting better, and the controls are better. Observing free cam is pretty rough. There's no keybinds for switching to players. You have to click on them on the portraits, either at the top or on the map, and even that is tricky. So a lot of our observers will use Stream Deck custom commands where it will say go to like move your mouse to here and click instead of pressing your normally maps to your function keys or whatever, F1 to F5 for your Overwatch, blue team or whatever. It's a tricky game because you get all the tricky things from MOBAs of needing to know a lot of information about what people are building, and also it's an FPS. Well, TPS, third person. I don't, what I mean.
Third person.
It's a shooter.
Yeah.
Which has its own issues of trying to observe that, and trying to tell the story. Will get better as it. We've got so much better than the first couple of shows, but it is a tricky one. The game is not really fully polished yet, and also the scene is not particularly big. And also the sponsors are not entirely interested in it yet because it's so alpha and so early in the game's life cycle. We're lucky that Intel really loves the show. But a lot of people are waiting before investing super heavily on it because it's just not out there, and the player base is not that big for it yet. Compare that to Marvel Rivals, which is blowing up. Teams and players and sponsors are way more interested in getting in on that.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I remember when Deadlock was like, oh, you can't say it. Like, a lot of people were talking about, well, you can't say its name at all. Like, oh yeah, I got into the beta, but it's like I got into the beta for that game or the alpha for that game, and like, I could see its appeal, but like the couple times I've watched Deadlock Fight Night, it looks like it is an insane kind of thing to put on, not just for like the casters, but for the observers and everyone else, because you have to be following so much across what it's 6v6 or is it 5v5?
It's 6v6, yeah. It used to be 4 lanes and now it's only 3 lanes, which is better, but it's
Mhm.
still
Mm.
3 lanes, 12 players across 2 observers, which is not so easy.
Mhm.
Yeah, for comparison in Overwatch, we like having quad ops. We have a blue, red, and 2 free cams.
Mhm.
But we don't have any of that. We very rarely go free cam unless like some mid fights and stuff like that. But yeah, tough.
Well, I
And
mean, also, you have like, because Overwatch, you could be like, oh, the teams are grouped up and stuff like that, but like early game deadlock is, everybody's split across the lane, so having to sort of jump between. But that kind of comes with most MOBAs, I guess. But it's still new for people who maybe have just been observing Overwatch a lot.
Yeah, and it's especially difficult because it's a 3D map. In that, like in League of Legends, you can just zoom out a bit and you can see everything on the map. Not so in Deadlock. You need observers in different lanes. Like we would, you may have seen before in some early laning things in League broadcasts, they'll do a triple observer cam split where you'll have your top mid and bot lanes all at once while they're just farming and do basic stuff. I would love to have 3 observers and have the 3 different lanes, but we just don't. And even when we have like one person, like one prime observer who's on one lane, and the other observer is flicking between lanes 2 and 3, we still miss stuff because this game is just pretty fast, pretty unpredictable, and new, and just tricky to get all of those nuances that we've learned. I mean, like comparing it to Overwatch or to Marvel Rivals, where we've had so many more hours of experience, and like I know what this hero is going to do. We know that this Zenyatta is going to hide because there's an EMP. Like all those like intricate details and counterplays. It just is going to take time to build up. And luckily, we have some really good casters that will spot a lot of the things just from the mini map, and we kind of are working together to learn the game and also learn the pro play meta and observe it and all of that. But it is very much a week to week learning experience, as much as it is a show. I mean, we're at what, 24 weeks now? We do a weekly show, so this is, I think, TFN 24 coming up, or 25, I don't know, something like that. And we're getting there. The show is pretty polished. We're able to add things every week, which is a really nice thing. One of my favorite things about the Fight Night shows is that they're weekly, and that I can invest in time and resources to build something because I know I'm going to have another 10 shows, 20 shows, 100 shows, whatever. And I know that it's happening week after week. I can make a project like some of our staff are working on stats databases, and they can put in multi-week works of effort because they know that the show's going to keep running and they can use it next week. Or, oh, there's something I fixed this week. I can use it next week. It's going to be even better. It's something we really have, especially when a lot of esports shows are just like one weekend or one day. If something breaks, or you're like, oh, I wish I had this animation or I had this screen, there's not a lot you can do when you're already live, really. Like, there just isn't the time. You've got so many other things to be doing while you're live. But this show, you can have that iteration. You can go week to week. You can break down after a show and say, like, we'd love to do more of this. We'd love to do less of this. We'd like to build that, build this. And we could do it next week. And the next week, it's even better. And then we iterate on top of that again. And you just get a better and better and better show, which is just such a great thing. And it's really good for audience retention because they know every week in the same place. They can build it into their schedules. We can build it into our schedules. It's just great. I could go on forever about the Fight Night shows. They are a dream to work on, and a dream. And I get paid for it as well. It's like I get like Uber ZP, Hex and ZP are running the whole thing basically. I get DDK, Jake, Avast. I had Dogman on the week. We have Puckett. I mean, like, is as an Overwatch League fanboy, it's essentially the Overwatch League retirement home, but it's just because they're all tier 1 talent in their own right. because they're all just so goddamn good. And they're like, oh, I'm gonna ask my friend to hop in if we need to. Oh, we might have to have Golden Boy on because Puck is not. What do you mean we might have to get Golden Boy in because we haven't got Puckett? That's ridiculous. It's so stupid. It's so good. Love this show so much. It's so great.
So, one last thing, because while I would love for you to go on and on about Fight Night, there are a couple other things that I feel like we should talk about. But the fact that Fight Night got sponsorship so incredibly fast, it felt like Intel was there within the first couple weeks for Deadlock, and now they've stayed on for Marvel, right?
Yep.
Like, what was it like to kind of, like, I don't know if you had anything to do with that, or if someone said, hey, like, they want to do this. Like, what was it kind of like to have that interest from a major, like, sponsor like that very early on?
It's wild. I mean, so much. So, like, we have a business guy and a couple of people behind the scenes that make it all work. And firstly, oh my word, is it nice to not have to do business? Oh my word. So good. I just turn up and do the show, I do the production stuff, and I don't have to deal with invoices with the client and, a 50-chain email thread to work out exactly what they want. It's so nice to have people that do that. But Intel is a wild sponsor. I mean, they love the show. They've got so much respect for all the talent and the people that work on it. I mean, it's obvious, right? If you just, even on paper, the names are crazy. Even if you don't look at the show, like, we're getting good numbers. We got great names. We got good stuff behind it. We've got great ideas. But Intel is such a legitimizing sponsor as well. It's not like, it's not like, I don't know. I don't want to disparage any sponsors out there, but like,
Name a crypto company. Go ahead.
Right, like you don't want these slightly shady companies or the ones that are just a bit smaller that maybe you get a couple of weeks sponsorship but nothing more. Intel, you can't really get a bigger sponsor than Intel. Like, it's Intel. Like who does Intel compete with? AMD? I mean, Nvidia, maybe, I guess, for GPUs. It's crazy. And the best thing as well, you can stack sponsors on top of Intel, because Intel really only competes with CPUs and now GPUs. So if you want a keyboard sponsor, if you want like a gamer sub sponsor, if you want a microphone, a chair sponsor, they can go on top. Intel is one. I mean, the people at Intel have been really lovely. I've got nothing but positive things to say about them. They sent me a care package as well. I mean, it's wonderful. It's great. No, yeah, Intel have been great, and they managed to keep the show running, and people get paid, and it's like grassroots esports kind of. It's just keeping the show afloat is such a great thing for them, and they just want to be helping out esports to do cool stuff, and that's what they're doing. So
yeah, like it's great. Like, I was honestly surprised, like, when I turned on to one of the Fight Nights one night and I saw Intel there. I was like, holy fucking shit, they got them this fast. Like,
yeah, it's just, yeah, me too, a little bit. It's yeah.
Okay, but here, let me ask you this. Unless you cannot tell for some reason, what's your dream? Like, outside of Intel, what's your dream sponsor you would love to have for? It doesn't have to be Fight Night, just for anything that you do.
Elgato, so they can send me infinite stream decks. Dude, I want an Elgato sponsorship for forever. Do you know how many people that we have got in production to buy stream decks? So many. We must have sold like 20 stream decks for them. It's insane. Like, every new producer eventually is like, oh yeah, God, a stream deck would be nice. And then, a couple of weeks later, oh yeah, by the way, I got a stream deck. Like, I have 2. I had 3. I gave 1 to Mel. Lotu has like 5. It's insane. We need them. Just, if for nothing else, I just need a discount code from them, please. Elgato, please, I'm going broke. Send me free stream decks, please. Thanks.
This is the Elgato begging session of the week.
Dude, they make some great stuff.
They do. But like, I want to get a stream deck, but I just don't know what the fuck I would use it for. Like, I don't stream enough to make it worth it for that reason. I don't do anything in production yet. But like you said, everyone that you just said, and every other like producer observer that we work with like frequently, they have 1 or 2 stream decks. They'll have an XL, maybe 2 XLs, a normal one, the minis as well. Like, I forget who it was, but there was someone, I don't think it was Hippie, who had like, oh yeah, I have 3 XLs, 3 normal ones, and then I have a mini one that's just basically to turn off like 2 of these other ones so I don't mess with them during stuff.
That sounds like either unfeatured or person. I could not tell you, but it sounds like one of them.
I don't think they have that many. I know Lotsu has 2 Stream Deck Pluses, which are the
Mhm.
ones with the dials, 2 XLs, I think, and at least 1 normal one. And also there's the Stream Deck pedals.
Mhm.
We have 3 buttons on the floor, which he uses for his push to talk. Yeah, wild. Shout out Elgato. Need some of that money.
The foot pedals is some
It's
of the
crazy. It makes so much sense, but
it
like
does.
it's so dumb conceptually.
No,
I mean, a Stream Deck foot pedal, but yeah, no, it's great.
it's so funny because like I have a sim racing wheel, so I have those pedals, and I don't know if I could be able to do something like that what they do, but like I've seen people, it's just something you would never think of, that like, oh yeah, let me get a foot pedal for this, but it like you said, it makes so
It
much
works.
sense. Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, but I mean, we'll probably touch on Fight Night a couple more times here and there, just in other conversations and other questions. But like, let's now go back to BPL and a lot of the other stuff that you've had some assist in here. Um, like, I imagine it's a little bit different going from, well, BPL or Fight Night back to something like BPL, but BPL was first before going to Fight Night. What was like something that you took from creating, whether it be packages or production things for BPL and any of the other leagues that you've done stuff for, and brought it over to Fight Night? Like, what was one thing you kind of didn't necessarily think you would kind of carry over from one place to another, but you did and kind of helped you out a lot?
I mean, it would be crazy not to mention Solemn GG at some point. I know the Knock podcast was essentially a Solemn GG glazing podcast.
Mhm.
He loves that thing, and I love when producers come back to me and say, "Oh, I had to do XYZ external thing, and I didn't have Solemn GG, and I had to do things either manually or set up companion and Sheets.io and stuff," and they just come back to me crying and like, "Please let me use Solemn GG again, please." Solemn GG has been, I mean, invaluable. I mean, it's a platform we've been building for years, even before BPL. Well, kind of. Variations before BPL existed. Couple thousand commits on GitHub. I mean, I use that. It's the same platform that we use. I mean, people will. I got clocked in the Marvel Rivals show when I went to like a roster scene or something, and it was the same as all the other BPL events. And someone said Solomon scene ? In the Twitch chat. But yeah, I mean, that's been so useful. It's so easy. It's so nice to have like a framework of everything, and just change all the colors, change all the names, change all the text, and we're just good to go. It's also been really nice to, in some ways, give back to the community in a kind of roundabout way that still really gives back just to me, but like a lot of the things we do on paid shows sometimes needs us to build more things on Solomon GG. So one example is the lower third on the desk scene, where they have the draft in Deadlock. We had to rebuild a bunch of that because we basically have to not fake it, but like we have to play it back, because it's not real time data. We run the draft with the players before or slightly before, so it's still going on, but we show it on draft with a delay basically. And that technology we can now use for anything else in Solomon GG, which includes things like the League of Legends events that are sometimes held. It means that technology, I don't have to do anything. It just works. The way we build it is broadcast agnostic. It just takes in whatever data it's fed to it and just works. So I was weird to say, it's useful for me to know how my own system works, because like duh. But having something that's reliable like that I've got how many thousands of experience. It's like if like a lot of professional things will use like a professional graphic system like Expression or something, or even like a lower level like a vMix GT titles type stuff, and it'll be useful for you for any new show to have X 100 hours in that program for you to know what you're doing, and I have that in Solomon GG as a product in a way. So it's been pretty quick to build up shows. I mean, obviously they look a little bit like that, but it's been quick to build up those shows from the assets I already have and just tweak things and improve things. And I already know, like, I've got my syncers, my observer feeds. I didn't need to do much with because they're just observer feeds. I've got in-game stuff. I've got teams. I've got schedules. You just go. Don't waste time on the boring bits and just get to the exciting bits and the new bits that we need to innovate on Deadlock.
Yeah, I mean, Salmon GG is something we've all used. It is an incredible thing, as well as the website that goes along with it. It's also it's a database for a lot of these smaller community ran tournaments, which is insane to think that. I mean, if it's stays up, if 5 years down the line, like we already kind of talked about, you can go back and maybe look at something like we brought up what Megalass considers to be maybe one of the worst teams ever. There in the past.
You're gonna have to narrow that down. Are we talking Brazil Uprising?
Yeah,
we talking
yes, Brazil Uprising.
Okay, I was gonna say there's a lot of teams I could have named there. But hey, listen, we were better than Super Bowl. That is a fact. Anyway.
Yeah, but like it's insane to think that that community ran tournaments can have like this long like history of like, hey, yeah, here's all this stuff, like going back like you said, 5 years already here at this point of BPL. And did you start Salmon GG the website around the same time as the first BPL did?
Yeah, I mean, the database has changed a couple of times, but it's basically the same data from BPL Season 1. That we just needed to start organizing stuff, and then started building stuff around it. Because I realized I was putting things in too many places. Like I was having scores on one page and team rosters on another, and then having to calculate standings manually. And I was like, this is stupid. And then it's a single source of data, so all the broadcast data is the same, all the website data is the same. We don't have to, copy and paste things into new spreadsheets. It just works. Yeah, no, but on your point on kind of going back, it is crazy to see some of these guys' profiles now. These players who have been on teams since the beginning and are still on teams, and their page just goes off the screen now because of how many players they're on, how many teams, and how many like Among Us teams they've been on. That's a Luminous special of like 7 different Among Us teams on there, just stinking up the player pages. I don't know how long it's going to live. I mean, as long as possible, I hope. I mean, if it is a shame with these other events that they're kind of lost to time a lot of the time. I know there was some League Zero kind of copycat website, but that didn't last long. I think I have the data for that. Maybe I should import that into some GG. I don't know. Maybe it's better some things are forgotten.
Yeah, you're probably right about that. But like another cool thing that I personally really like about Salmon GG is one, and you already kind of touched on it with that, is like you can look at these player profiles and go back and see how many teams and events they've been a part of. But then you also have that same thing for the production side, where anyone can kind of go back and say, hey, I worked with these people this many times, and it kind of puts it into like perspective, really, like how many people you've actually worked with. Because I think within just last year, the first year that I think my page was on salmon.gg, like I think I worked with like over 50 different people. And it's insane to kind of go back and look at that and just say like, oh, wow, I never thought it was that many people.
Yeah, happens a lot at low levels as well, where the teams, where the production team in casters, like it's not like a couple pairs, it's like everybody who wants to almost. You're going to get big numbers in that. And especially also BPL events, so we have like 7 people working a show rather than a producer and an observer. We have like quad obs and a replay and some guy who walked in and decided to lobby admin. Yeah. You should go to like one of our pages, or even go to my SalmonGG page and just watch your computer try and cook as it tries to render every single match. I have 253 partners actually. No, it's still loading. Okay, good.
I was gonna say I have the rare but real Solomon casting credit on my page. For the I think it was the Halo Hoot Nanny or one of them.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, but listen, that's my badge of honor. Like everybody thinks that it would be like something like Brazil Uprising for the meme. I'm like, no, I have Solomon as a caster. Y'all can't ever get on my level.
Wow. Yeah. Oh.
Oh, you know, it was there for a minute and then it tried.
I was gonna say, okay, let me see if I can pull this up, but then for some reason your image is not loading over there.
Oh. If only there was just like a production focused podcast or something.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah, you know, we try.
Solomon just sees like something that's not being run efficiently after the years of Avast and Super and is like, let me get in there. I can fix it.
632 productions with Mark.
Yeah.
Mark, that's the GOAT. You're
That's
welcome,
GOAT
by the
right
way.
there.
I gave him to you. I scared him away from playing, so he would be yours forever.
Hell yeah. Yeah, Mark's the goat. I mean, Mark was just kind of always available. I mean, I would always take him, especially on mainstream, because he is just somehow a silent god at observing in free cam. I don't know how. There's not been many people that have matched him, even at like pro, like Owl and OWCS levels. He's just the goat. I met him once in Berlin. That was a lot of fun. Yeah. Some big numbers. And KnockOnWood is now my number 2. That's a shame. 363 matches together.
Anytime Knock is in someone's top 3, it's a shame.
Yeah, he's my number 1.
I am so sorry for you.
I don't know how it happened. I don't know where I went wrong.
Ohio?
Where did I go wrong? We thought we raised you right. Nah, listen, see, but Knock is definitely going to listen to this episode. So Knock can be the new person Slander, since person's decided to jump off the face of the planet, so to speak.
Well, wait. The first thing Solomon said once he joined the Discord channel was he was joining the lawsuit. So Solomon, you have person slander?
Honestly, not really. Other than wanting to be a lobby admin more than he really should be. Just because he wants to chill in voice, which is like, I respect it. But it's quite funny, like, people begging me to be a lobby admin of a match. I'm like, fucking knock yourself out, man, whatever. I got more Knock slander though, that's what I was slander on though, holy.
You know what?
Knock's great. Knock gets all of my stuff that I don't want to deal with anymore. And now he doesn't want to deal with it, we gotta find someone else to push it on. All the little like Solemn GG changes or like the specifically community stuff when I'm working on like, you know, bigger events. It goes to him. Mm-hmm. It's I ignore it and then Knock sees it and then like gives a couple of days to see if I do respond to a ping and then does it himself. But now we both ignore it and then it doesn't happen. So that's good.
Hey, I'm here for the Knock slander.
Yeah.
We can go on.
Well, you know.
We can go on for a little bit.
Dex is like, no, hold on.
No,
we got more here.
Let's stop the show right here, actually, and let's talk more about Knock and why he's awful.
Yeah, I'm
Knock
down.
is great.
Yeah.
He just shouts at me and scares me. No, he doesn't shout at me. I shout at him. I tell him to stop shouting. It's great.
Do you shout? Like,
Yeah.
I don't think I've heard anything above this level of tone from you.
Yeah.
No. There was something that pissed me off during a show one time, but I can't remember what. It really got me. But usually, no, I'm pretty chill, as I'm sure you guys know by now. I don't get angry with people. Even like some people get pretty angry with community people in game. Good thing is I don't actually have to deal with anything in game, but I also feel a lot of the time that getting angry doesn't really help. Like I could get angry and shout at people in the games that are, you know, they're taking forever or they're shit talking my production staff, but like, what's that gonna do? They're just gonna shout back, you know. Whereas I could just say, hey, by the way, you're gonna lose X, Y, Z. We're gonna penalize you, and then move on, and then we'll just, you know, I try to be pragmatic about it. Like, I don't want to shout. No one wants to shout.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to get my anger out that way. I'll just move on and deal with it, you know.
Yeah.
Right. That's just me. That's me. I mean, for life in general, really.
I think Knock's the opposite. Knock will be the one that shouts.
Yeah.
Knock will be the one who will straight up just ban someone from ever competing in a BPL event again, if you push him just too far.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not without reason. To be fair, I mean there are certainly people that push his buttons more than they should, and there are certainly people that need to get a reaction. I mean, I also agree. I mean, this is once again me being a man of balance in middle of the road, but there's definitely moments where I have to pick up some pieces when people get angry, but that's not just Knock. That's sometimes it does make things more interesting and more complex sometimes when people are chatting around, and it just doesn't help anyone at all. But hey.
The way BPL banning is like fair and just is I somehow haven't been banned.
We'll get there, I'm sure.
I like at this point I'd have to intentionally do it, I fear. I feel like I've pushed all the buttons I can, you know what I mean? Unless I do something intentional.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say pretty permissive. I mean, we're kind of not. Like, we're pretty quick to trigger ban for like obvious stuff, like like people dropping slurs and that kind of stuff. Like, if you're a shit person, we'll get you out of there as quick as we can. That's a guarantee. It's when people are a little bit too annoying. That's when they slip through the cracks. That's when you get those kind of long seasons where no one's quite breaking any rules, but they're just a little bit annoying, and everyone knows they're a little bit annoying. And I'm not talking about anyone in particular, but if you're also thinking of the same person, then yes. It just and it's no one's fault. It's just people are like that sometimes, or they're just young, or they're just I don't know, and you just talk to them like a normal human being, where sometimes people are annoying and they tread the line and they know exactly how to tread the line. It's really fucking annoying, and then you don't have to ban them. And,
I could name a couple that I would imagine, but I'm not gonna for the same reason that you're probably not gonna.
Well, I'll name names. We want to name names?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Why not?
Number one is me. That's me. Anytime I play, I actually read the rulebook just to be annoying. I totally do that. The only name coming to mind is Recurve, but like he wasn't even really that with him. He was just kind of there. He just he enabled fucking shitty fanboy behavior type shit.
Yeah, just a bit. Yeah, I don't want to go too much into it, but like, yeah, just sometimes it's just treading the line and getting a bit too boisterous, and it's just at some point there has to be a line drawn, and we drew a line at one point for different people, and that's how it goes.
All right, but to kind of get back onto just the topic or this podcast a little bit here, I mean, we talked about Fight Night, we talked about Sam and GG. I mean, what else is there that you do that we just haven't necessarily touched on just yet? Because it's the producer, it's the whole package creation. Like, has there been something that like we've kind of skipped around or just kind of not really touched on yet about like what else you do?
Well, BPL. So there's two BPLs basically. There's the BPL, the community event, and there's BPL, the company. And I am both. I am BPL, the company. We do a bunch of white label stuff, which is when it's not BPL branded and it's branded as whoever. Like, we just did the Face It season 4 playoffs. That was a lot of fun. But I wasn't actually able to be there, so we had Lotu running production for that, and it was pretty much all fine until we went in and we had 1 FPS, and then we fixed that. I was on call from a hotel room trying to fix things and unplug things. But we have a lot of small things. I mean, to be honest, white labels are always fun. We've done a bunch. Not for a while, to be fair. When OWCS was announced, we actually, I don't want to say lost a lot of business, but just there was really not a lot of third-party tournaments on the same scale that we would normally work on. Like, we used to have all of the Mayhem Classic series. We did a bunch of those, like 3 of those maybe. And that was one of our big first things. Doing that was crazy. We those used to be Elo Hell Production did that for Get Good, and then Monkey Bubble did a couple of them, and then we did them, and it's kind of crazy to go from Monkey Bubble to us. But hey, we did a great job. Those were really fun, and that really opened the door to a lot more. I'd have to go through all of my records. We've probably done 20, 25, 30 white label events that we may or may not make public. Mostly Overwatch, but your favorite events may or may not have been done by us, and that's a whole experience in itself because it's business skills that I've kind of had to learn on the job of working with clients and seeing what they want and dealing with rates and paying people and paperwork and accountants and boring stuff, really.
Yeah, I imagine that's not your favorite thing, is having to kind of sit there and do all the logistics of an event. You would rather just actually do the event.
Yeah, and it's stressful. And it's like I said before with Fight Night, I don't have to deal with any of that, really. Like, I mean, I have to deal with my production staff and pay my production staff, but that's whatever. I've done that before. That's really the easy bit. I don't need to negotiate a whole new package and broadcast schedule and casters and rates and stuff every single week. I just get paid. It's so good. Some of these events are pretty restrictive in their budgets, which is fair. Different events have different budgets. We've got to work around that every single time. But it's just so much stress. It's honestly, that's my biggest thing. It's so much stress to do these external tournaments. It's been really nice to not do them. Not, to be honest, I say that, it's not been out of choice. There's just been no tournaments. Other than community stuff or Face It and OWCS, there's been nothing. We haven't been able to do anything. Like, we did a J3 tournament, that was fun. With casters on LAN, that was pretty chill. We had who do we have? We had the PLAT CHAT boys for it. We had ZP and Hex and Jaws and Custer, and I think J3 was on site as well. The Blizzard campus, that was pretty chill. I should really go back through my Solomon GG and have a look at the things we've done. We've done scarcity tournaments. We've done we did a Valorant thing for Misfits Gaming.
Mm-hmm.
We did some Altura stuff. We did Toronto Defiant -3 for calling all heroes. That was pretty fun. That was my first Overwatch esports, Overwatch League channel type level of stuff. That was crazy. That's fun. Worked with Lemon Kiwi on that one. Not to name drop, but
No,
your favorite Overwatch League caster, I probably worked with them. But at this point, I've worked with most of the people in Overwatch League. No, which is a crazy thing to say. But it's so cool. That and PLAT CHAT as well. I guess then looking away from BPL and some GG stuff, I've done stuff by myself. I do PLAT CHAT, have done for a year and a half, 2 years, something like that. I don't know, it's been a while now. Running their podcast every week-ish, whenever they're around, which is always fun. I did a developer stream recently. You may or may not know a company called Fantastic Pixel Castle that were one of those kind of ex-Blizzard startup things. When a lot of people, there's kind of big mass exodus and people made their own studios. That's one of them. They're making an MMO, and I did a stream for them a couple of weeks ago. That was really fun to do something new for them. I had John Spector, you probably recognize from Overwatch and Overwatch League before, who now works there, got me into that. That was a really cool one. Yeah, just a lot of little stuff. My life right now is Fight Night, and I couldn't be happier. My life before that was BPL a lot, and I don't really know how I'm going to deal with doing Fight Night Wednesday, Thursday, and then BPL Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's going to be interesting. But we'll see. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it, I guess.
Hey, it just sounds like the normal 5-day work week that a lot of people have. Just your off days are going to be Monday and Tuesday.
Yeah, I have a 9 to 5. It starts at 9 p.m. and ends at 5 a.m. That is basically my work schedule, actually. My call time is 8 p.m., so it's almost like an 8 to 4 p.m.
I just want to touch on one thing, like you just said. I didn't know this until I first reached out to you. I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago. To try to get you to come on. I didn't know you did PLAT CHAT. I didn't know you were working with PLAT CHAT in some way. And like you said, it's not a frequent podcast, But what is that kind of like to be around that? Because it seems like it's a really fun podcast.
Yeah, PLAT CHAT's great. I really like doing PLAT CHAT. I didn't really have a huge amount of experience in podcast stuff. It's pretty different to esports. I mean, obviously, like it's a lot more. I don't know how to explain it. A lot more kind of like in-person studio. You know, like you are cutting to people's cameras rather than cutting angles in an esport. You know, you're cutting to different POVs. And you're working on the flow of a conversation rather than the flow of a team fight. I guess is quite an eloquent way to put it, I guess. So very different, but I've been doing that for so long now that I'm pretty used to it. I work with Johnny a lot, Reinforce, to work on all these things. I actually did a couple of video edits from them. I did one audio edit because I was watching some TikTok or something that was talking about editing audio for podcasts and doing things like cutting out random people trying to start, a point in the background, or like slightly moving people responding so that you can hear them properly and stuff like that. I did that. I've done a couple of shorts for them, but I was just not really that good or that quick, and so I just stopped. But it's been really fun. I mean, that is also, I don't really get as starstruck anymore because I've just worked with them for so long that I'm just kind of chill with them. But it's all that kind of Overwatch League level talent again. Your Jaws, your Custer, Avril, Avast gets on there whenever he can. Johnny every week. Yeah, that's be fun. I might even do a PLAT CHAT Valorant at some point. Minor leagues, that might be fun. Because they're all pretty busy. And PLAT CHAT Valorant is going to the moon right now. I mean, they are doing so cool stuff over there. Kurt, who runs that show, who you'll know as Truck Check, it does some wizardrous stuff. I mean, I don't know how he does all the stuff he does inside OBS, but he goes crazy with it. The things he sent me over, some of the stuff for PLAT CHAT Valorant, and he's just a wizard. I don't understand. Like the things he makes move and like the graphics he builds, it's just wonderful. But PLAT CHAT Valorant's really fun. PLAT CHAT Overwatch is really fun as well. We mess around on it a little bit, and we are sort of regular, sort of not. And we just whenever people are around, basically. Yeah, no, a lot of fun. I just got randomly messaged at one point. That's maybe another interesting point I should want to make is almost all of the work I've done, I've not applied for, or sent in a resume or offered. People have come to me for almost everything. Like the majority of our white label stuff. So like the Scarcity tournament, the J3 tournament, Calling All Heroes, even the Toronto one, they came to us. We didn't go to them. We didn't, prepare a pitch deck or anything. They just came to us. Fight Night stuff, they came to me. They'd be like, "Hey, we want you on this thing." I'm like, "Okay, sure, I guess, why not?" And now look at it. Like,
Wait, so
it is crazy.
Wait, so Fight Night, was it teams or was it the game developers themselves kind of reached out to you saying, "Hey, can you do this?"
No, it was ZP and Hex.
Okay.
ZP and Hex from Overwatch League. They were like, "We want to do this project where we go do stuff weekly, and we want you to get on board." I'm like, "Okay, sure." And then they were like, "Oh, yeah, also we can pay you." Oh, cool, even better. Yeah, it goes to show, I think, especially in these creative jobs, how important word of mouth is, and having that reputation and putting out consistent good products and kind of marketing yourself as well. That like if people didn't know who I was from the old Avast days up into BPL into Fright Night now, like I wouldn't have got anywhere near the amount of these jobs. I wouldn't be working on Fight Night if I hadn't worked through BPL and through Avast. So yeah, very important that you work on cool things and put effort into it and talk to the right people.
Yeah, and like that's a big thing that I like with esports, just stuff in general. It seems like a lot of it is like, hey, networking, knowing, like you said, kind of the right people, and making sure you always leave on a good note so people will, talk about you and put your name out there if they're looking for stuff. And we've touched on this recently with all of our production friends, going and doing a lot of lands in the past month, and in the month coming up, they're going to be doing a lot as well. And it's like there's no applications for that. It's just like, hey, it's all word of mouth. It's all good recommendations, which is insane to think right now. Like, you know, that when you're talking about looking for a job, like, it's not, you don't need a resume, you don't need this. Yeah, they'll help, but a lot of times it's more, do people like working with you? Are you reliable? Are you reliable? Because like, I can say from my own experience looking for a job outside of esports, I had a resume, I had a good internship. I kept on getting turned down for 3 straight years before I just finally decided to say, you know what, I'm not looking for anything in that anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But
it's yeah, I've heard all the same horror stories that I'm sure you guys have had as well. You know, the people who leave a bad taste in your mouth or whatever, and I guess maybe in some ways that also touches on what we were talking about before with BPL having good people, right? Is that you know, you keep the people around you who you like to work with, not just because they're fun or you get along with them, but also because they do great work. You know, like for example, Mark is a great example of that. Like, Mark does not talk a lot, and that's chill, and he works whatever hours that are crazy, but is damn fucking good at what he does. And so just keeps coming back, and we keep having him back. And even came back fairly recently. It's been away for a bit, partly because Overwatch esports are getting later and later in the night, which kind of makes Europeans kind of mad, but that's a whole other thing. But yeah, it's like you never see a job application for VCT caster, right? You just, it's all word of mouth. It is all building up your portfolio and your experience and your connections, which always used to a little bit scare me and frustrate me, because it kind of makes it feel like it's not a meritocracy. You know, it's not how good you are, it's who you know. But I as I'm getting into more things, it kind of is how good you are. You know, if you are good and people know about it, you know, it's not, you know, you never get the other way around of like, you're bad but people know you, so you get in. That doesn't really happen. Not in esports. There's not enough spots generally for that to happen anymore. You know, you just do great stuff and make sure people know that you've done great stuff, and people will be a nice person.
Yeah.
And that's all you need, really.
See, that's where I'm failing. I'm not getting the be a nice person part. Got it.
Oh, unlucky.
No, Megan,
Yeah,
you're nice.
bullshit.
You're nice.
I'm just trying to be comedic relief here because there's random bits of dead air. So I'm just trying to help out here.
Hey.
It is.
I appreciate it.
No, but I mean, but like what someone's saying, Mega, you have a brand. Like, you are the VTuber caster. We've talked about this pretty frequently in the last couple episodes. Like, you are the VTuber caster, at least in the Overwatch scene. Like, that is your brand.
I mean, for the most part, like, people have like dabbled with it with certain like VTuber themed events. Like, you've seen VTuber casters, but yeah, I mean, like you said, we talked about this before. Like, it wasn't really my intention to adopt this as like this is my whole thing, but like it just kind of ended up being what happens.
I think that's how it happens for most people, isn't it? You just do something. I think it's
Mhm.
it's like trying to give yourself a nickname, right? Like, it doesn't work. It's all just, it just happens to be what you do, and then it just spirals out of control like that.
Yeah, Dex has his shirts.
Mega's trying to think of something. She's trying to think of something for me, and she just cannot.
I tried so hard, Hunter. I felt so bad. I was like, come on, there's got to be something.
Oh,
As
hi.
soon as
guy.
As soon as I heard like a 2 seconds of dead air, I'm like, she can't name a single thing.
Hunter's a really cool guy. He's so smart about the game.
I'm the Winton guy. That's who I am. I'm the Winton guy.
Oh, there you go. See, I just forgot about Winton. You know, that's on me. Like, the Winton guy, absolutely, that's so true.
That's all I've got, man. That's it. My entire career is riding on this one Winton in my corner.
And I'm just British. Then that does enough.
Damn it.
What the
British
heck?
and you helped man children, and now you're here.
Mhm.
I mean,
I'm
we
pretty
know
sure it
other
says in
Brit-
my bio that I'm babysitter for a Avast and Super.
Wait, I looked this up earlier. I can tell you.
I might have taken Super out because I wanted to put Deadlock in, I think.
Babysitter for a vast. That's it.
Damn. Super, you're not as important as Deadlock. Get up out of there, buddy.
I mean, I haven't been to a Super
Dang.
stream in a while, to be fair. I'm still a mod, but like not really anymore.
Just show up, say
It-
hi, and then leave.
I do. You know, I've never spent money in this Twitch chat, but I'm like a 20-month sub because I kept getting it gifted. Wonderful. I just turn up and then I get a sub and then leave.
Hey,
Shout out Super.
Yeah.
That's not, yeah. Well, it's kind of true. Not really, but it's funny to throw in a pod. So
no, that's fine. Hunter, Mega, is there anything else that you guys would like to ask?
grill me.
Grill you. All right. Well,
Yeah,
go ahead.
yeah,
Get
or
a medium temp.
You've opened the door for Megalass. That is a dangerous move.
Yeah.
What for grill it? No, listen, Hunter. You know what? How about you go ahead, Hunter? Come on. Let's hear what you got.
Me? You want me to ask a question?
Yeah, you got questions.
Like, I do have questions. I have a lot of questions. Do I have questions specifically for Solomon? You know, I'm pretty sure they exist somewhere. I'm sure they do. I'm sure somewhere in the confines of my brain.
Me when I need to hit the word count in an essay.
The inner
I'm a
machinations
great-
of my
hey.
mind are an enigma.
You have both cast with me. You know I am the world's best rambler in all of casting.
It is our
Um,
job.
You're
There's a good
second.
skill, yeah.
You're second to me, unfortunately, or not to me, but for me, because Fletch, that guy will not shut up sometimes.
But that is true.
Yeah. Joker's up there for me because he can just start going into random sports tangents, and I'm just kind of like, dude, please. Yeah, I would love to talk to you about this at some point, but this is not the time for that. But okay, Solomon, let me ask you this while Hunter and Mega kind of,
Mhm.
ponder their questions here.
This is our podcast now.
Yeah.
They're just here to, in the peanut gallery to throw things at us.
If Mega could throw things at us, she would.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
That's why I'm standing away from my screen right now, just in case you throw something through it.
The VTuber can just randomly throw stuff through your screen. What's like here? Let me ask you this: what do you think is the next logical step for either Solomon, GG, or Fight? Like, what's the next logical step for you?
For me,
Yeah,
man,
well, it doesn't have to be specifically about you, but like the stuff that you work with or work on.
well, I mean, obviously Fight Night right now is majority of my focus because it has funding and it's the numbers keep building and it's just going to get a bigger and bigger product. We have some interesting stuff under construction that I cannot talk about, unfortunately, but I will be excited to talk about when it releases. But I think it's just more of that and more of like the dream for that is for them to just fill up my schedule with shows. I don't know if we would ever get to the position of us having like an actual studio somewhere and me being flown out to work there. I'd love that, obviously. It feels very early stage Beyond the Summit type stuff, where it was just really good production with people who know what they're doing, having a fun time and making a wonderful product. RIP. But I think that's kind of it right now, and partly why that has dominated this podcast so much is because it has kind of dominated my life for the last 6 months. Like, it is kind of come out of nowhere and is frankly a reason for me to stay in esports. Things were pretty dry this last year of Overwatch because OWCS and FACEIT pretty much nuked all other tournaments. There weren't a lot coming our way. Because either team participation was lower because there weren't any Overwatch League teams, or the structure wasn't quite there, or just there was so much of everything. You could play a FACEIT match pretty much fucking any day of the week for the entire year. That things slowed right down. They're kind of trying to pick up again now. But then, without being too down on it, but like with everything else going on in the world, Overwatch is not really something that people are investing in right now.
Yeah.
Frankly, when you have these other games on the horizon, you have your Marvel Rivals and your Deadlocks, and all these new games that are coming out, you would rather spend your money there, and that's what people have been doing. So in a way, I didn't even expect to be doing this year. We started in sort of like September, October last year. So we're like 6 to 9 months now. So in terms of where I go from here, I mean, I didn't even expect to be here, frankly. I don't know what I would have been doing, really. Maybe trundling along, but honestly, probably looking for non-esports jobs. I don't do a lot of freelance stuff. Like a lot of people I know will do like freelance production work for other companies and stuff. I've never really done that just because I don't know. It's I don't know. I just never really got into it. Which is tricky because it means that I have to do all the client work and all these stuff that I was moaning about earlier. But I guess I would have to do more of that. But this is my full steam ahead. And we had a Pacific show 1 week for Deadlock, so we had 3 shows a week. We currently just have 2, but we could expand that to more. I mean, if my life becomes a 5-day 9 to 5 of doing esports shows, I'm not gonna fucking complain, quite frankly. And BPL will exist in some form alongside it in whatever way I can support it, which is not going to be as much as before, obviously. But the staff we have will be able to do the same great work. So
Yeah, absolutely. But Hunter, Mega, have you guys thought of anything?
I've cooked, unless Hunter's got something.
Ooh, I cooked a question. I think this is a basic question, but I like this question because I don't think we've asked a question like this before.
Ooh.
Solomon, is there something, at least in terms of production, what you've done over the years, something that you know now that you wish you would have known when you first started?
Oh geez, this is when I get to be really profound or something, right? I got to think of something
Exactly.
really interesting.
I've set you up with the alley oop. Yes.
Man, I should have thought about this. This is such like I should have thought about this. Great question. I don't know. I think I don't. Wow. Yeah. I think that one of the biggest things is just everything about networking and having a good positive impact on people, and that will get you, if not at least your foot in the door. If not, will get you through the door for pretty much anything you want to do. And that in a lot of ways in esports, you can work hard and do whatever you want. In a way, the barrier to entry in esports production is really low. You can, as long as you got if you got a gaming computer, you can produce any show on it. Pretty much, you can watch what your favorite esports shows do. You can watch your VCTs, your OWLs, your OWCSs, your Rocket Leagues, whatever, and you can do a lot of the same things yourself. The OBS is free. Playing the games, and a lot of times, is free. You can stream the games for free. Like compared to a traditional television studio where all of the technology and the hardware and the software are thousands and thousands of dollars or pounds or whatever. In esports, there's so little cost, which there's good and bad for that. Obviously, it means that more people can get into it. Great. It means that you have more competition. But you can just do it if you want to do it. Just do it. That's also good about esports production.
Yeah. Mega.
No, I mean that was incredibly, that's motivational as hell right there. But
It really was.
to maybe end on a more of a lighter note, unless Dex is gonna hit with something where this doesn't actually end TV. But what would you say for you personally was like have you had like an oh shit I made it, or like a oh shit I'm here now, like have you had that moment?
A little bit. I think a lot of that is kind of being starstruck with the people around you. I definitely had that with PLAT CHAT in the early episodes, of trying to be like, oh, okay, so I need to deal with all these people's cameras and like the pre-show and post-show stuff. Because they talk random shit. Because sometimes that's the first time they've caught up with when they're doing PLAT CHAT. The first time they caught up with each other, so I overhear some crazy stuff. It's quite fun. But like PLAT CHAT was definitely a big one of like, oh fuck, we've done it. Doing the Calling All Heroes broadcast on the Overwatch League channel was a big one as well. That was pretty crazy. I'm sure Loki will have felt the same way when we did the Face It one on all of the OW Esports channel recently. That was when I was like, oh hell yeah. I think especially the Calling All Heroes one was a big one for me because we were using all of the Blizzard assets, you know, like it looked like a Blizzard show. It was actually all still built in SolomGG, but we just made it look like it because you just changed some colors and some positions and some fonts, so then it's the same thing, right? So having my computer be sending that to, you know, hundreds of thousands, well, maybe not hundreds of thousands, it's an Overwatch show, let's be real. Tens of thousands of people. That was a big, okay, we've got something here. Fight Night has been in some ways another one, but to be honest, it's a little bit more relief of like being able to still do what I love and have it funded. Frankly, I mean, I don't want to sound like the only thing I care about in Fight Night is money, because I think it's pretty clear that it's a pretty fucking awesome show. But it is also a show I get paid for. Like it's like it still doesn't make sense to me really. Like BPL is already such a great product and a great show in itself, and the shows we've done in the past have been wonderful. Like you look back to the grand final shows where we have you have like your hot dog sets and stuff like that. And we look back, we think, damn, God, we cooked back then. And now I'm doing the same thing, but with the best casters in the world, and also I get paid. I mean, it just doesn't, it doesn't really compute. It doesn't even feel like I've made it. We have a thing coming up that I think is going to feel even more like that. But yeah, it's been a wild ride and it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I mean, I think all of us can basically say like we've all had our own wild ride, but you, with what you've done, might be one of the wildest of any of the guests that we've kind of had on here so far in our now 14 episodes. But I mean,
I didn't even say that I've worked for the Overwatch League as well. I completely skipped over that period of my life where I worked for the Overwatch League. I had like meetings with the web development team at one point for they made pick'ems at one point. That website is long since dead. My name used to be in the comments of the code for that. That was cute. And I worked on the Overwatch League for a while as a YouTube post-production manager. It's kind of just I never really got a full title or a contract for that, but that's whatever. But I gave myself that title. I was doing VOD management and clipping and some other random stuff for them. But that's a whole other thing that I just like, oh yeah, I guess I worked on the Overwatch League as well. That was wild. That's why my default spray on almost every hero is the verified player Overwatch League in game. Because you got to, if you've got it. I love the Overwatch League. I'm devastated that it's gone. But it's just so crazy that I got to be a part of that as well. I mean, it's certainly been a wild ride, and I mean, in some ways, shout out to everyone around me that's made it happen. My mum has been crazy as well, in that and like allowing me to be up at 5 a.m. doing a show. I live at home because it's 2025 and we're not rich, because who is in this economy? So, helping with all of that, it's just it's been wonderful.
Yeah, but yeah, it really has been. But I think we're gonna call it there. Solomon, thank you so much for coming on and doing this, and thank you so much for being someone who's very flexible. Because, like you said, you are in the EU, so it is very late there.
Yeah, it is 1:23 in the morning. But you know me, that doesn't mean anything to me. I live on the East Coast essentially, and sometimes on the West Coast, depending on my sleep schedule. So like, whatever, that's fine.
Yeah, but I knew reaching out to you at some point. Like, I think we talked about this with Spec. Like, before I reach out to you, like, go get Solomon. He does not. Like, he's like Spectron and with sleep schedule, but like you just said, your work hours are 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. for you.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. So again, hey, thank you so much for coming on, man. It was great to have you on, and you were definitely one of the people, like, when I started this, it was like, yeah, I want to try to get you in at some point sooner rather than later. Granted, 14 episodes maybe is not as soon as I thought, but hey.
Hey, you made it to 14 episodes. Isn't that cool? Shout out you guys. That's pretty cool.
That's a lot thanks to them as well. Like, we've talked on this a lot after the show's end. Like, I thank them so much for doing this every week because like, and I always say I feel bad for taking time out of their nights.
And me and Hunter both call him a
Bro.
dork for thanking us when we're just happy to be here.
Yeah.
What do you
As
think
should.
we're doing on a Monday evening, brother? What do you think we're doing elsewise?
Yeah, but I'm gonna wrap it up there. Again, Solomon, thank you so much. Hunter, Mega, as always, thank you guys, and thank you everyone for watching here. Make sure you follow or subscribe on the YouTube channel. We've actually been growing a decent amount in the past 2 weeks. I will say that, like, doubled the amount of subscribers. Granted, not a lot still, but hey, it's progress, and I will always take progress. But make sure you tune in next week for episode 15 of For the Love of Prod, when I can now say this again. I have no idea who it's gonna be. I have an idea. I have an idea of who it's going to be. Gotta make sure they're available. But if not, then I have no idea still. But again, thank you everyone so much for watching or listening this week. And see you again next week for another good episode, hopefully.